Welcome to the ideaHUB Innovators Podcast, where we spotlight the innovators and changemakers using entrepreneurship to drive impact and uplift communities. I'm your host, Dr. Letitia Vickery, an educator, researcher, and business strategist passionate about helping entrepreneurs turn vision into reality. In this episode, I'm joined by Coralie Saint-Louis, a journalist turned media and tech entrepreneur with a mission to reshape how we consume news. Coralie is the creator of Enpak, a social media app delivering real-time, verified local news from accredited journalists, designed to build more informed and civically engaged communities. With deep roots in Haiti and a passion for inclusive media, Coralie is leading the way in tech for good. Tune in to hear how she's redefining media and making impact through innovation. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. With me today is
Coralie Saint-Louis. I am the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Enpak Social. Enpak is a tech media startup that just recently launched a mobile application for local news. And our goal is really to connect people and make them have access to information that matters to them so they can become more civically informed and engaged.
How exciting. I can't wait to hear more about Enpak Social. Now, let's go back a little bit.
Of course.
How did you get the idea for this? What planted the seed?
So my background is in journalism. So I've been in journalism for over a decade, and I spent a lot of time in the newsroom. I also spent a lot of time in the community, and I'm one of those avid social media users because I like to so I have FOMO. So it's the fear of missing out. So I need to know everything at all time, any minute of the day. So I spent a lot of time on social media. And from my experience being in the newsroom as a reporter, being in the community, engaging with people and talking to people, but also being on social media, I noticed that there was a disconnect between the way we access information and the kind of information that we have access to. So I really wanted people to be able to get on a platform where they could have informed conversations about things that are happening in their communities so they can become more involved. Because we are able to make better decisions when we are informed, when we know what's happening, and we know how to get involved as well. So that's where the idea came from. So it was to get communities more active and more engaged.
All right. And when did you launch your venture?
So we launched the app back in March of this year. We started working on the idea over a year ago.
Wow. So you're in the exciting phases.
It's not exciting.
I'm trying to be positive. Okay,
it's
yes,
not the
you're
exciting
in the
phase.
Early muscle building phases.
Yes.
The grunt work, yes,
the
right?
early phases. Is it exciting? Sometimes when you're seeing your milestones and, things are going positively and you're reaching all your milestones and you're accomplishing your goals and stuff. But it's a lot of work. It's so much work, but I enjoy it more than, having to go to an office and working a 9 to 5 and then being stuck in traffic and going home. And it's nice to watch your idea come to life. So I've enjoyed that part the most. But as far as exciting, it is exciting to an extent, but it is a lot of work.
So what does a typical day for Coralie look like?
Typical day. So I try to start my day, and I'm not trying to go sugarcoat it and do the whole social media thing where I'm up at 6 o'clock and I go to the gym now. I wake up around about 7 a.m. and I spend an hour in bed just dreading the day because it's like, oh my God. Yeah. It's like I have to mentally prepare to get out of bed. And, you have to boost yourself up because small business owner, you're spending a lot of time alone. And most of my team is remote. So we're each in our individual homes. It's not like I have to get up and go to an office. So I have to get up and be at home all day by myself and go sit at my desk. So it's really just pumping myself up in the morning and telling myself, hey, you got this. You can do this. You've made it this far. Think about the dream. Think about where you're trying to go. And then, wake up, take a shower. I make a smoothie because I'm doing this whole healthy thing. So I make myself with a smoothie in the morning. And once I've had my breakfast, it's at the computer and then start my meetings, start sending emails, reviewing emails, and I have a checklist of tasks that I have to complete throughout the day. And now I'm practicing taking breaks in between. So I'm taking breaks to have lunch and then just to breathe a little bit. And, and I work for the rest of the day. And when I'm done, I try to read a chapter, which I just started. Don't take me for it. Like, it's not something that I've been doing the entire year. And that's something that I noticed as well. It took me a while to get off my past routine. So I used to work full time. And, my routine was basically waking up in the morning, getting ready, sitting in traffic, go to work, and then back home. But now I'm learning to compartmentalize my day and make it more productive. So now I started reading. And instead of reading 2-3 chapters, I'm trying to read one chapter every afternoon. And I try not to watch TV during the week. So I've cut that out. I've eliminated TV during the week so I can really focus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself. No TV during the week. And sometimes on the weekend, I don't even watch TV. It's not a priority anymore. And I'm really focused on my self-growth and development and growing this company.
I love that. Now, I firmly believe that when we pour into ourselves, everything else that we're touching and working on will grow as we are growing too, right? And so you explain some of the ways that you're starting to pour into yourself and pulling back some of that self-prioritization, right?
It's a lot of self-care,
right? As you grow the business. Now, how does that impact your business? How is that impacting your business? How are you seeing the fruit of Coralie is good, Coralie is centered, now the business?
It's helping me to become more focused. It's helping me to organize better and not to be all over the place. I'm able to complete tasks and stay on task. So it's really helping me to stay focused overall.
All right. Now, what do you feel like your life's purpose is? Your mission?
Ooh. It's cheesy, but I really just want to help other people. I really just want to help people.
How?
Providing access to opportunities, opening doors, keeping doors open, keeping them informed, letting them know, hey, this is what's happening in the world and this is how it impacts you and this is what you could do. So a little background about me, and I like to mention it, and I'll probably mention it 100 times. So I'm Haitian, grew up in Haiti, and that has influenced every aspect and every part of my life and everything that I do. And I like to tell people that, I grew up in Haiti, but I also had a very privileged upbringing. And I had access to the best schools. I spent my summers here in the States. I had a great family unit, large family, very supportive family. So I had access to all these things. And growing up in Haiti and understanding that not everybody had access to the same things that I did has inspired me. And it propels me forward to really create opportunities for others and to open doors where they normally wouldn't have access to.
All right. And how will the app, as it grows, as you continue to evolve it, how will it do that?
I think as we continue to grow, we're going to continue to expand because my goal is to expand globally to other countries. And the way, I don't like to call them underdeveloped countries or developing countries. I don't like those terms, but those countries, their relationship with news is different than the relationship that we have with news here in the States. Local news in a place like Haiti means democracy. It means access to information. It means education. So having this app available in Haiti and having information right there at the palm of their hands and having it available to people, it really helps to keep them informed and to know and how to be involved. Because as we've seen a lot of turmoil in the last several decades, and I think the more informed people become, the more engaged they'll become. And eventually, as you continue to grow, you're creating jobs, you're having an impact on the community as well.
Awesome. Now, is this your first business?
Oh, God, no.
All right. So tell us about some of your journey that brought you to this stage, right? You mentioned quickly that you're a journalist by trade, right? And through those passions, the love for being in the know, and then the love for also being able to use your talents to pour into others through information as one way. Those things led to this business.
Yes.
But you want to share about the other entrepreneurial journeys you've had along the way and some of the lessons you learned from them?
Of course. So my very first company, it wasn't even supposed to be a company. It was just this project that I was working on. I was in college, probably a sophomore. It was right after the 2010 Haiti earthquake. And I was interning in DC at the Voice of America, and I was directly involved with Haiti coverage. So I was covering Haiti, and I was covering recovery efforts on the Hill. And there was so much happening on the back end. And I noticed on mainstream media, whenever they covered the earthquake in Haiti, it was always these gut-wrenching stories and the poverty and, it's all the bad things that were happening. Meanwhile, I was in DC and I was watching all the fundraisers that were happening, the cultural events that were happening around raising funds, the conversations that were happening on the Hill, the conversations that were happening at some of the colleges, panel discussions. So there were all these recovery efforts happening that nobody was covering, in a sense. So I decided to create this network. It was called the Diaspora Network, where I was going to cover and amplify the works of Haitians living in the diaspora and the work that they were doing. So that would be the nonprofits, culture, art, just looking at all the positive things about Haiti and being able to tell our story. So our motto was My Voice, My Story. And it quickly became overwhelming because, again, I was a college student. I was working full time at the same time. And it was just, I didn't have the time for it. It grew so fast. And I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the experience. I just didn't know what I was doing. And then it burned me out. So I was completely burned down and I just walked away. Walked away. And it's so funny because sometimes I'll go on YouTube. So our website is down, but we still have a page on YouTube and we're still on Facebook and people are still liking our stuff. They're still following our stuff. Like we have some great stories. I covered the story with the ambassador of Haiti and Cuba when I went to Cuba a few years ago. And it was such a hit because people didn't understand the connection between Haiti and Cuba. So it was nice to tell people about the connection and the relationship between Haiti and Cuba. So that was my first business and I crashed out. And I couldn't do it. If I'm being honest with myself, I had to be honest because I'm sort of a perfectionist. If it's not perfect and if it's not what I envision, I'm not going to keep working on it.
Yeah.
And the difference with Enpak this time around is that I'm older, wiser. I've had more experience. I've been in the industry long enough, but I also told myself that I wanted to see this one through. This is the thing that I'm going to see through. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter the outcomes or what people are saying or, some of the challenges. I'm going to see this one through, and that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, more power to you.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard being a perfectionist and an entrepreneur. It's very hard because entrepreneurship is all about failing fast. Right. And perfectionism causes us to withhold things for too long sometimes rather than getting it out quickly into the market or quickly into the hands of the customers. So how do you balance that battle or how do you fight through that?
Sure. I learned, and I'm going to piggyback off something you just said, entrepreneurship is failing fast, but I've learned that entrepreneurship is failing upwards because it's not really failures. There are lessons that you're learning along the way. So with every mishap and everything that doesn't go your way, you learn to pivot. You learn to pivot and you learn to do something differently. You learn to do things differently and you learn to do it better as well. So there was also a study, or it was this event that I went to, and they were saying how women as entrepreneurs, we tend to hold back. We like to wait until it's the perfect moment to release the product, until everything is exactly the way we want it to release. And from this conference, I learned, hey, sometimes you just got to go for it. Just make it happen, You'll fix it on the back end. It's yours. It's your baby. Just put it out there. It doesn't have to be perfect.
So constantly talking to that inner voice and Speaking against the
calming it down.
perfectionism.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
It's like, it's good enough. Just let it go.
All right. All right. Okay. So what are some of the challenges that is making this growth phase so tough?
In what sense?
Meaning there are typical challenges every up and coming application developer, for instance, might have, right? Finding the right person to help you develop your application, finding your staffing, especially for tech companies, right? You also need that capital investment. So rather than assuming you're going through those typical challenges, are there particular challenges that you're finding you're facing that's making that climb, a little harder for you?
I think I would have to say funding. It's capital. I think that's what entrepreneurs, they deal with a lot. It would have to be capital and then time. Time. I have learned that time is not really on your side and you have to learn to adapt. You might want things to get done and, I have a timeline of everything that I'm doing and when things are supposed to be done. I have a milestone. But they're unrealistic. In life, we would say, we make plans and then God laughs. In entrepreneurship, we make plans and then the world laughs because the world is going to move at its own pace.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what timeline. You need to have a timeline. You need to set the goals and your milestone. But sometimes it doesn't happen when you want it to happen, and you should not be discouraged.
Right. So making certain that whatever strategic plan you've laid out is flexible. It's a living plan because you're going to have to readjust.
Yes.
Right. And there are things that are sometimes outside of your control. So
especially when you're dealing with people and you're trying to get clients and, now it's not just you anymore. It doesn't depend on you. You're trying to get clients. So it depends on the outside forces.
Yep. So I'm envisioning your application as what's called a multi-sided platform, right? So you are doing things for different sets of users. There'll be end users, there'll be vendors that you might have coming in, or right. And maybe I'm envisioning it incorrectly. Explain your app. How does your platform work?
Yes. Picture your favorite social media platform, but without the cesspool, without the negativity, or even though I know that's like impossible, because it's really hard to control human nature, and we're gonna meet different types of people in our lives. But imagine a virtuous space where you're able to have real conversations. You're able to have impactful conversations, because the name of the company itself, when I named it Enpak, it's because I wanted people to think about the impact that they're making when they're posting something online. So when you post something, it's what impact are you having on your community? What impact are you having on the next person? So picture a very virtuous social media platform where you're able to access conversation, but you're also able to have conversations. But it's also a space for local small businesses to thrive, because as we've seen in the last few years with the way ads work on social media, it's really, sometimes it's very targeted, but you don't really see your local mom and pop stores on social, unless this is the corner store that you go to and you're familiar with it.
Right.
It's not going to be on social media. And creating that space for small businesses. So it's really creating an online community where we're able to thrive together.
Okay. How do you protect the community from negativity seeping in?
AI. AI, that's the new word, right?
So you're
Everybody's
taking
talking
advantage.
about AI. So it's using AI to moderate some of these communities and conversations and what's being posted online.
Wonderful. Awesome. So I love that you're pulling it in. What's some of the innovations you're hoping to bring into your application? So you talked about using AI to do the moderation. Anything else?
AI to do moderation, but we're also making news. How would I define it? News that you're interested in. So we have our impact meter, which I love. So basically the impact meter, what it does, you're able to set your news feed based on how you're feeling during the day. Like today it's Friday. I don't want to see all this breaking news or this bad news on my feed, so I'm going to put it on solution journalism or, more happy news that I want to see in my community. They're building something over in Uniondale, or something is happening, or there's a concert, somewhere in Hempstead. And these are the things that I want to see, because what we notice, and what a lot of studies they've done, is that people that have news fatigue, they're tired of seeing the news because the news is so negative, right? It's never anything positive. It's never anything uplifting. So with the impact meter, you're able to set what impact you want the news to have on you that day.
Wonderful. That's awesome. That's very cool. I can't wait to start using it. Is it open for users right now?
It is. It's in the app stores, Android and iOS. It's ready to download. So it's a work in progress. The app is available. It's not perfect. It's not exactly how I envisioned it, where it should be right now, but it's my little work of art.
Yes, this is what's called a lean startup, right?
Yes.
Developing that minimum viable product,
Yes.
Getting it out to the users, and taking the user feedback and letting them help to shape that perfect product eventually,
the
right?
Perfect product.
And so you're in the process of developing that baby, and I'm glad that we as a community, we can go download that app and support and use it, provide constructive feedback, right?
Yes.
Right? So we're going to partner with you on that, in that mission. And so now we've talked about how the app works. We've talked about the impact you want to make. Now, what about some of those more technical, insightful lessons that you've learned along the way in developing this? For the up-and-coming entrepreneur who wants to figure out how to develop an app because they have this amazing idea, where do they start?
Finding the right people. So I'm not a tech person. I don't have a tech background. I'm a journalist. The lessons that I learned from the beginning was you have to have the right people around you. You have to have really smart people, not just your friends and people who don't know what they're doing. You have to really have professionals on your side. Luckily, I have friends who are professionals and they know what they're doing. They know the ins and outs, and they've been very supportive. But really, you need people who are experienced, and they're able to explain things to you, and they're able to get things done. And don't try to cut corners, because I did that. Try to cut corners, tried to hire, developers who were very cheap, and it wasted my time, my money. So complete waste of time. Don't cut corners, and really go for professionals, people who know what they're doing.
Okay. All right. So don't cut corners, surround yourself with the right people. So that means also having some sort of discretion in judging skill sets and judging, character, and whether or not their work ethic fits with what you're looking for. What else?
Absolutely. People who understand your vision.
That's an important
to have people
one.
who understand your vision, because then you don't want to have to keep clashing with somebody who doesn't understand what you're trying to do, because eventually it will deviate your path. Because when you're a startup and you're just starting out and you really need help, you tend to be very, how would I frame it? Easily influenced. Because people, they're volunteering their help, right? They're volunteering and they're helping you out. So you want to be, you want to work with them, and you also want them to work with you, because you want them to work with you. You want to work with them, and it can easily influence your decisions and how you want things to be. So it's better to have people who understand your vision and who are willing to work with you towards building that vision.
That's right. Rather than influencing their vision upon you.
Exactly.
And trying to create a mini them in you.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, and that's hard. How do you, and that's called selecting who might be mentors even, or selecting people who might be silent partners or sponsors in your journey, right?
Yes.
So how do you, weed out the better ones from those who will have a heavier hand in trying to shape your vision?
Trust your gut. That's the first thing. Trust your gut and be firm. Because I know us as women, sometimes it's hard for us to really establish ourselves and, be firm with people and tell them what we want and how we want things to be done. So you have to learn to be firm in what you want and, and making sure that people respect that and they understand it.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So you're dropping gems. Okay.
Ooh, look at that.
Now, how did you approach financing?
Ooh.
I know these tough questions.
Ooh, that is a tough question. We're self-funded for now. Self-funded.
Congratulations to you. That's a big feat.
It is a big feat, and it's a little bit insane. My mother worries. She's probably worried right now. No, it's self-funded, but I guess I believed in what I was doing. I believed in my vision. Eventually, when we're ready, so I've been holding back on going after investment and raising money because I'm Caribbean and we have like this funny relationship with money where we don't like to ask people for money. It's not something that we do. So I'm learning to be better with that before I go out there and then start raising. But right now, it's self-funded.
Okay. All right.
Bootstrapping.
Bootstrap. That's right. That's exactly the term I was about to throw out there. And I think that's an inspirational story, right? There's so many people trying to figure out how to do it. And yes, the Caribbean community, especially, we do, we either over pursue credit or we are completely against it.
Yes.
Right. But in this entrepreneurial journey, there's a path to learning how to use credit healthily and learning how to use it as a safety net for your business and for future planning.
Right.
As you expand, as you take on more, as you go international. Right. And so what are the resources that you are tapping into to help you embrace that learning and that openness and opening your approach to start pursuing funding opportunities?
God, I'm reading a lot of books. Reading books, watching webinars, listening to, other venture, VCs, going to events and letting them drill it into my head. Like, it has to be drilled into my head. Girl, it's okay to go out there and ask for money. So I'm getting more comfortable. I'm not there yet. Not there. But, just being in that environment and going to all these events, meeting with so many VCs. And, VCs, they constantly talk. That's all they talk about. They talk about money all the time. Yeah. And hearing people talk about money and then reading books from other VCs and blogs and, how to crowdfund, learning how to crowdfund, learning about your different stages, series A, B, pre-seed. So it's learning about how these things work and adopting a new mindset that's been helping.
Okay. Any specific references you want to give to the audience to tell them to tap into?
Oh, God, no. I don't have anything specific because, like I said, from the beginning, it's like I'm everywhere and I'm like just dabbling into different things.
What are you reading right now?
Right now, what am I reading? I'm reading Women Can Be Geniuses. I think that's what it's called.
Okay.
Women Are Geniuses or Women Can Be Geniuses. But basically, it's a book that's looking at women throughout history and their contribution to humanity and why women have not been labeled as geniuses and why men typically they're always the ones who are labeled as geniuses. And, it could be from art to science and it's always men, right? So with the book, the author is looking at women throughout history who have contributed something and sometimes they were erased, from the conversation because they are women. So that's the book I'm reading now.
Okay. So inspiring you, right?
Yes.
And certainly helping you to see the traps that we often fall into. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting you through the Ascend Long Island program, right? Can you tell us about that? Because that is a resource that will help you to develop some of the things you are targeting.
Yes. Ascend Long Island is an accelerator program that is done through Hofstra. And I'm part of the current cohort. And I think it's been such a great experience because it's helping me to access more resources, but also become a better business person. Like I said, entrepreneurship is a very lonely game and you spend a lot of time alone. But being around other entrepreneurs and people who have experienced some of the same hurdles that I'm going through right now, because within the program, you have people who have been in business for 10, 20 years, but then you also have people who are just starting out. And then you have me who's not sure where I fit in or where my place is. So being able to learn from these people, but as well as mentors, because the program provides you with these business mentors that you're able to meet with and talk about your business and how to grow. So it's really helping me to grow as an entrepreneur and as a business person.
That's wonderful. Now, what I really love about the Ascend program is the community, the sense of community, the way that partnerships can develop. For instance, this podcast is certainly being put on through Ascend, but also being refined, marketed, featured by 2 Ascend companies. And I love to see how Ascend cohort members connect and support one another. Are there other communities like that you have seen and been able to tap into yet, or?
They exist in the startup community, but what I've noticed as well in my journey is that you have to know people. You have to learn to network. You have to know how to network. And you have to be in the right place at the right time. I learned about Ascend because I used to work on Long Island, so I have a lot of contacts. So my network is very wide on Long Island, and I know enough people to point me in the right direction. But these communities, they exist throughout the country. They exist throughout the state. You just have to find them. But yes.
And be willing to put that time into finding those spaces.
Yes.
And so one of the main questions that we see always popping up for up and coming business owners is, how do I balance the time that I need to put into my business and the time that I need to spend networking just to get my face out there, get my name out there, and my services, my offering out there, right? What is your strategy for that?
I had to slow down because I was attending so many events and it turned out a lot of them were a waste of my time. So it's really prioritizing what's going to benefit you the most. Being able to identify who's going to be at this event and how can I benefit from it. At this point, you have to be selfish. You need to be selfish about your time. Time is the most valuable thing we have as entrepreneurs, and you can't be wasting time going to events where you're going to come home like you just spent 2-3 hours networking with people and it doesn't lead you anywhere. You were not able to get the contacts that you wanted. Sometimes too, you go to an event and you meet some random person and it turns out is the best connection you've ever made in your entire life. But you also have to prioritize to be in spaces where it's going to benefit you. So I've slowed down on going to events. And now I'm being very picky about events that I go to, and I'm going more to events that are being recommended to me. So people who understand and know my business, and they're able to tell me, hey, you should probably go to this event. I know somebody who's going to be there, or, something interesting is going to happen there, or something that you should know. This is the event that you should be going to. So it's being very mindful about your time and how you're spending it.
Okay. And so for the person who doesn't have that yet, doesn't have that connection to the person who has insight into these different events, what should they be looking for in terms of answering that question of, am I going to get a return on my investment of time if I spend my time in this way?
You're not. If I'm being honest, you're not. You're not going to get an investment as far as exactly what you're looking for. You're not going to get exactly what you're looking for, but you are going to meet people, and it's going to expose you to certain things. It's going to jumpstart conversations that you haven't had with yourself. It's probably not going to open the doors that you want open at the time, but it is going to fuel you into your business. It's going to inspire you in a way because you're able to see what other people are doing. But as far as getting immediate results from going to events Monday to Friday every day, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So look for events. Again, look for events where look at the topic. What are they talking about? You know, what can you learn? Think of it as a learning experience. If you're thinking and you're approaching it as a learning experience, it's easier for you to decide which events to go to. Would I go to an event about AI or AI and just something in AI? Like, I'm trying to think of some random topic. Would I go? Probably not if it doesn't have anything to do with my business.
Makes sense. So, all that said, we learned about so much about your business, your journey, the type of impact you want to have, where you hope the business will evolve to. What kinds of partners are you looking for right now? And I want you to remind the listeners of what your offering is, and then tell us what kind of partners you're looking for.
Oh, partners. Right now, we're looking for partners in local government and local news publications. So these are the two partners that we're working with at the moment. So as far as local news publications, we're looking at journalists who are in the community who are reporting local news in the community. It could be community journalism, community bloggers, just people who are invested in keeping their communities informed. And we're also partnering with local governments to get information out to their constituents and to let people know what's happening in their towns, their school districts, just becoming more informed so they know what decisions are being made about their lives and their future.
One thing we didn't get to talk about is any key milestones that you're really proud of that the app has been able to make, the company has been able to make.
Lots. We launched the app, so that's the first milestone. Right. We launched. We're in the app stores. Apparently, it's very hard to do. It's difficult to get an app into the app store. So, yay.
Kudos.
We're in the app stores, and we're starting to get these partnerships. So, we recently partnered with four publications in Maryland. 4 major publications in Maryland. They've been onboarded on the app, and we're making more partnerships and more connections. And the other day I was I was editing our newsletter, and we were sending out our 8th newsletter for the year.
Wow.
You know, and I had to reflect on it and look at how far we've come and how a year ago this did not exist.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't exist. So it's a lot of milestones. They're small, very small milestones, but I'm proud of them. They're
major ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, major
Something
ones.
to be proud of.
Well, congratulations for the growth that you've been able to see and experience. Congratulations for continuing to put one step, one action, one news story in front of the other, and continuing to push yourself to achieve that mission of creating impact in the communities that matter to you. I am standing in admiration of you and your journey.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to continuing to be a part of your journey, Impact's journey, and your future businesses to come. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you for having me. I love what you guys are doing here.
Thank you. We hope you enjoyed learning all about Coralie and her Impact application. So please make sure you download it, go get it, use it, provide feedback in the communities, and join us on our next episode.